The question here is photo enforcement a safety device or a revenue device? The answer is unequivocally it has no place, I'd say 99% of the time, except as a revenue device based on unsafe practices, scrupulous applications. Think of it this way. In photo enforcement alone, Washington, D.C. did $324 million in fines in 1 year. And when you look at Washington, D.C., it is the poster child of poor engineering practices and a culture of the public entity or the public people or the city council thinking it's okay to steal from the public because they can make it legal. I can tell you that nothing they're doing there has anything to do with safety. When I was on the California traffic control device for signal timing, when we fixed the signal timing at the intersections, even at $500 a ticket and $300 penalty if you were late, over 80% of the traffic signals were taken down within a few months because they were no longer viable to keep using for the city or the vendors. In fact, in most cases, the vendors actually had a clause. In fact, in every case I saw early on, the vendors had a clause. You could not fix a defect in the signal timing when the camera was under contract. Couldn't change it, couldn't fix it, couldn't fix the yellow time. The other side of the violation of federal law, in my opinion, is they were taking technical violations of otherwise totally safe movements. I'll give you an example. On a red light stop line, it's prior to the crosswalk. When you approach a crosswalk, the stop line is for the crosswalk. But if you're going to make a right turn, a prudent driver will roll forward all the way to the intersecting section of the roadway so they can get a sight distance of the proper approaching traffic. They'll roll forward to the curb line of the approaching traffic to make sure they got a good sight distance. Then if it's safe to go, they'll roll through and go ahead and proceed. The actual violation on a red light camera is crossing the line prior to the sidewalk before they even get a sight distance if it's safe to go or not, which is a total technical violation of somebody who's acting prudently to see if it's safe to go to make a right turn. The state of Arizona went one step further. They set their cameras not on the legal stop line, but on the intersecting road. And so not only are their cameras set less than the prevailing speed of traffic, if you're looking at a camera in the yellow time, it's about 1 second for every 10 miles an hour of approach speed is what the proper yellow time should be. In Arizona, their yellow times were a half second or a second below what the engineering study would have found prudent or proper or legal or safe. And on top of that, they were setting the signal timing at the intersecting road, which is not part of the federal standard, instead of the stop line. So a car would go past the stop line on yellow and wouldn't make it to the intersecting road in that half second because they were going slow because they were being prudent, and they'd get a ticket for running the red light even though they were beyond the stop line and already in the signal. They'd get a ticket even though they were beyond the stop line and within the intersection before it turned red, which was a blatant violation of the standards or any safety standard. The bottom line here is in everything we've ever looked at it on speed limits, you can't do a speed limit because if it's not properly set in the first place and no longer guidelines to do that in federal law, they allow any city, state to do whatever they damn well please with no foundation whatsoever. They automate a violation based on an invented number, an invented threshold. They have no concept whatsoever in their laws of prima facie or safer conditions. Every single ticket is triggered on an artificial threshold that doesn't relate to the safer condition speed at the same time or if the operator was acting safe for the conditions in present. Therefore, calling it a safety device is a complete falsehood on every single scale. And I hate to say this, even though Cheney just died recently, the nexus of the automated enforcement at scale came in his administration when Bush put him in charge of choosing the person to run the transportation department. Lockheed Martin at the time had a traffic division that was doing almost all the city software for handling traffic tickets. And what they did is they came up with a scheme at Lockheed Martin, who Cheney's wife was on the board of directors. They got a friendly person who was Norm Nemeta, who was working for Lockheed Martin, and put him in the director of transportation post. So what the scheme was, we will increase the efficiency of citation collection, eliminate due process, and streamline the process with photo ticket, and that'll be a great profit center, which it was. When red light cameras became too hot a topic and Lockheed Martin was getting bad press, Norman Mineta, their man in the agency, quit. They profited from the sale and everybody got their cut of the action. And then it turned over to private industry, which I think should be prosecuted under racketeering at every level. Because when you look at who's involved in this, City of Chicago, every city that you would think would be a criminal activity in police enforcement is involved here. Downtown New York City, Washington, D.C., Memphis is putting it in. The photo enforcement has become a complete criminal enterprise of its own. And for the highway safety or the U.S. Department of Transportation, National Highway Traffic Safety Administration to claim it's a safety device is a complete fraud, and it's a criminal activity on a scale that's unimaginable.